It took him almost 10 years after he lost his only daughter to realize and accept that he was suffering from clinical depression. He was losing the willingness to live. Fatigue, weight gain, and anger were walking all over him. He'd lost control. I didn't know this man. Who I knew was a dance enthusiast who broke his arm trying to dance with me at an all managers offsite some 12 years ago. Colleagues pulled our legs for the whole year. He was fun, energetic, loved, and highly respected by his team, and he was full of life. For a senior professional and a father to come forward to share his story, showcasing his vulnerability, knowing that the outcome is not in his control, I don't know if there's anything braver. His father and the women in his life have given him this courage. And all I have is respect, utter respect. And I'm thrilled to have back the fun, the energetic, and the full of life Manu, all the way from Dallas, Texas. Do not miss his story. And I'm Candy, your host for the show. Please do not forget to subscribe. Show some love, people. What a pleasure to see you, Manu, after so many years. Welcome to Candid with Candy.
Hey Candy, good to be part of this journey with you. I used to tell my wife, hey, maybe I should contact Candy. I want to be a part of this show.
Are you
Uh,
serious?
yes, I am. At the moment I saw your message, this is Candy, I knew, within somewhere down the line, I knew this is about that show. And I was like so excited, but I was like, hey Candy, how are you? And all. Yeah, I just kept my excitement within myself and really excited and really happy. And thank you so much for inviting me to your show.
And I'm equally excited to have you. First of all, I want to pay my condolences. I know you recently lost your father. When you told me about your father, I was like, is he even real? The kind of qualities and just the way he looked at life and the way he brought up his children, I was like, okay, you know what? We have to share his story, right?
Mhm.
So that's the first thing I'd like to cover with you, Manu.
He used to work for a steel manufacturing firm. Very good with socially very active. Had a lot of friends. So in fact, within the city, where I come from, Faridabad, almost 80% of the population knew him. Because of
Wow.
his connects. He knew someone who is working as a welder to someone who owns a big corporation. He had that kind of connects. You recently had a guest in your show, Ravi Anand, and I was listening to that. I could relate to him that until seventh standard, things were great, from a study, from an educational perspective. Down the line, I just lost it, as I could relate to it. I didn't knew what is happening in my, I just could not remember what's going on, could not relate to what the teacher is telling us about that subject. And the one of the memory that I carry with me is, and that's how I treat my kids also.
Mhm.
So I've learned a lot from my dad. I remember in the 12th standard, I failed. I failed my exams. I knew things are not good, but I had a hope that I may just pass this time. So I went to the school. My friend went inside, to check, and I told him, "No, I can't go there. Just go and check my result. Sorry, man, you failed." And I was like, damn. And my mom was a teacher in that school.
Oops.
So I was going back home. I was actually thinking of running away. So my friend dropped me at my place, and by the time I went inside, everybody knew. My parents knew about it. So I just went to a corner. I still remember half an hour after that, I was surprised to see four of my friends, who came into my house, and I was like, how can they come here? Man, I was so ashamed that how will I basically face them, because we all were in the same school,
Right,
same
right.
grade and all that. So they came in, and my dad was like, "Hey Manu, get up, man. Whatever has happened has happened. We'll plan for the future tomorrow. You know what we need to do. But hey guys, go and take him for a movie." And he sponsored a movie. He said, "Go ahead and take him out for a movie. Have a beer if you want to, and a lunch. It's on me." So
Wow.
I was so surprised. So that's the way he used to basically tackle things. And then the second instance, I remember I had a girlfriend, and her parents and brother, they were not accepting, and that was not the age, that I'm talking about late 90s. And so there was a time when we couldn't connect or talk to each other over the phone for like a week. And I was completely down. I was not eating food. My dad and my mom, they could see that, he's really upset.
So by nature, you're an emotional person, right?
I am, yes.
Okay, no, that explains it. You're not speaking to your girlfriend, resulting in not eating food for days is
Yeah.
quite, extreme.
That's how, for me, that's the end of the world. It was like, if I used to talk to my girlfriend, it used to make my day. This is what I was looking forward to. But I was staying in the bed for a week. I was not eating properly. I was not talking to anyone. I remember it was a Saturday or a Sunday, and I was again lying down in the bed watching TV maybe, and suddenly I could smell that time. I think you would know that. I could smell a perfume. The Charlie perfume that used to be like a unisexual kind of. Everybody from dad, mom, kids used to wear that perfume. And in those days, wearing a perfume means there's a special occasion.
Right, right.
So I just, I could feel that, okay, my parents are probably going out for a dinner or a marriage or something. And then they left, and I was again in my bed and watching a TV, and suddenly the phone rang. And I picked up my phone, and my dad was, "Hey, how are you? I want you to talk to someone." Okay. And suddenly I could hear my girlfriend from the other end. I was like, what? And how come my dad was there on this phone? He said, your parents are here at my house. They're talking to my parents.
My God.
And I was
And
like,
sorry, how old were you then?
I was in my, again, 12th standard. So, and then my dad said, okay, hand over the phone to me. And he started talking to me. Okay, I'm talking to XYZ, her parents. And her brother has gone out to get some beer for us. And we're going to have dinner over here. And I've spoken to her parents. We have come to an agreement that you guys will talk for XYZ number of days and for this much time. And so the entire plan was there. He had spoken to her and then talked to her mother. And then mother came onto the call. Hi, beta, how are you?
And you?
I was like, this is what, man? This is it. I just couldn't believe that this is happening with me. So, yeah, but I screwed up big time. I was a kid, and I could not just follow that schedule. I used to give her blank calls and all that stuff. And that's how I treat my kids.
No, no, this is beautiful. And um, I think what he's also taught, not only your family now that the world is going to see this, it's really about relationship building. Imagine if we'd gone to your girlfriend's house, not having those skills.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a disaster.
Yeah, we had a different relationship altogether. So he never basically was behind me to get the good grades or something. He said, whatever you do, I want to know that you have put in 100% of your effort into it. The best part about him was he taught me one thing. That was the age when you start smoking, drinking, you're going out on a date with your girlfriend. My dad told me was, never ever hide anything from me. I'm your best friend. If you're going on a date, tell me the location where you are, so that if somebody calls me, I'll say, yeah, we know about it. He's with his friend.
When parents are open like that to children, um, it really builds them up.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why you are who you are today. I'm sure these memories are the only things actually that keep us going when somebody we are so close with passes away. So we will continue to celebrate his life with you, Manu. I also know that your mom did something very courageous at the age of 42 or 43. Can you also tell us about that?
As I told you, my dad used to work with a steel manufacturing firm. One fine day, and I think I was in 8th standard. He came back home. He said, I've put in my papers over there, and I have decided to pursue a business opportunity with one of my friends. So one fine day, his partner came in. He said, I want to leave this. I want to go back to my hometown. So my dad was kind of shocked, surprised, and a bit upset also. And so over the period of time, things, he tried his level best. He invested some money to push the business up. Everything was like going down the drain. And one fine day, I still remember that, I had to accompany him to shut down the office. And there was a time when I saw that, we used to have the same, if it's some kind of dal, to dal or a vegetable, we used to have the same dal throughout the entire week. But eventually something had to be done. Someone had to work. So my mom applied for a position of a teacher, primary teacher, because she was a teacher before she got married, and after that she became a homemaker. So she got a job. I think at that time she used to get around 13 or 1500 rupees per month, and there were two kids, growing kids. And for her to basically grow and get some increments within the school, she had to basically show some degree and educational background, supported, backed up by the educational background and the experience or training in that particular field. So she did that bachelor's in 1 year. And then along with that, she also did a nursery teachers training, NTT. And I still remember, so she used to get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, prepare meal for three of us. She used to come back at around 3:30, prepare lunch and dinner for us, then tea followed by the tea, and then study in the night till 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. That's what my mom had done to get our life back on track, because we would have, we were all completely lost. And that's the reason why I think after 8th standard, I lost interest in my studies, because there was so much going on in the house. I was more interested in, going back home from the school and then mopping and cleaning the house and dusting the house, ensuring that by the time my mom comes in, all the dishes are washed and cleaned and everything. I want to basically share my experiences, how blessed I have been throughout my life, that, I've been around very strong women who have always supported me or helped me or my family in some way.
Talking about your studies, right, Manu? The next question really is, I know that you had to do a lot of, um, uh, you know, uh, negotiation with your parents to study hotel management, which you did eventually. But today, you are an expert in finance and accounts. Right? So, if you look at your education versus, what you're doing right now, there's a huge contrast, right? It's like north and south. And I know that there's a very interesting story as well in that. So, if we can move on to that story, Manu.
Yeah. So as I told you, I was not that good in studies, and I had no clue what I'm going to do in my life. If anybody used to ask me when I was in 12th standard or 11th standard, what do you want to become? I'll become an actor. So what happened was, after my 12th standard, I used to go with my dad. His friend owned a big workshop, with all the machines over there. I used to spend the entire day, and I got really fascinated how machines, how they're making stuff. They were into manufacturing of railway parts. And I told my dad, I want to do engineering. And he said, which kind of engineering, civil or something? I said, no, automobile engineering. Because I want to basically open up my own garage, and I want to basically get involved into modifications. And I gave an entrance exam. I got through it, but there was a donation of around 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs that the college was asking for. My dad was like, no way, I don't have that kind of money. I cannot even secure that, borrow it from someone. So you have to drop the idea, and that's about it. And then I remember I cried that night, because, I have to do something, because otherwise my girlfriend will leave me. I know. All my friends have gotten into some college. They're doing something. And I am the only one who has no clue what's going to happen. And I knew that she's going to leave me. I think there was an opportunity next year. There was an opportunity that came in for hotel management. I went there for an interview, and I got selected. And I remember I got selected for as well as we were responsible for collections. Things were going fine, but I really wanted to explore more. I used to hear about cash application, hear about reconciliation, hear about order entry and all that stuff, credit checks. So that made me a bit curious that I want to learn and beyond this, what's upstream and downstream of
Right.
collections. We used to work in the night shift over there to cater to the US market, right?
Right.
And all the core accounting folks, they used to come during the day over there. I used to work till 2:30 in my process. From 2:30 to till the last cab used to leave 5:30 or 6 o'clock. I used to basically look at the ledgers, in my SAP, my our system, and then go back home, take the first bus. Didn't get even chance to sleep at home. Go back, freshen up, change my clothes. Take the first bus from Faridabad. It used to take like 2 hours, to commute one way. Take the first bus, sleep in the bus itself. I used to sleep during the commutes. Come to the office, spend time with those guys to understand. I did that for the 3 months. Sleep only during the commute and eating food, at the office itself. Sometimes skipping that also.
Oh my God. So this drive that you had was all from within, right? That curiosity. It's not like somebody told you, Manu, you should learn all this.
I had plans, after my college. One thing that happened to me, and, after looking at my mom, I started planning for my future. Okay, if I'm doing this to get to the next level, where do I see myself 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line? So I had my plans for my entire life as a journey, both personal and professional. So that's what I used to basically work towards.
You just talked about plans, right? And, you and I discussed something that is quite personal. Planning and not meeting those toll gates or personal milestones that you set for yourself kind of led you into depression for a while. And that is something that, I would like to discuss with you as well.
So I got married at the age of 23. Same year when we got married, we bought a house. 2 years after that, we were blessed with a baby girl. 3 years after that, blessed with a baby boy. All that planning is happening. Plan. In 2009, we lost our daughter because of encephalitis, and that happened so suddenly that we didn't get a chance to react. And over the period of time, and I'm telling you, this is not about the journey of me losing my daughter. It's about the mental health. I've seen people talking about depression mein hai, this lady is in depression, this guy is in depression. Ho jayega, meditation karo, do some meditation, do some puja, path, and spend time with your family, go out, exercise, everything will be fine. It doesn't. I have gone through this for 10 years. I know that, when I lost my daughter, my whole plans crashed down. I was like so upset with myself and with the God that why would you do this? I was not able to accept that if I have planned something and this has gone wrong, and this is because, those first few years are so difficult. My son was 3 months old when I lost my daughter. You don't hear anything. There's nobody calling you Papa, Mama. So there was so much of void inside us, and specifically me, that I got upset with everybody. If I am doing something good, as per the plan, if somebody comes in and says, no, this plan doesn't look nice, I will get upset and I will start reacting to it. Be it my colleagues, be it my boss, be it my family members. And nobody understood or realized that, what I'm going through. I met so many great people during that, those 10 years of, I want to mention Sachit Soni, Rohit Bajaj. Again, there was a lady who came in, a woman who came in during this phase, Preeti Nahar. She realized that he has some issues because all the anxieties, and it's real. Your body is shaking when you're sleeping. You can't sleep. You have to basically think of something else. You feel breathlessness. I'm going to die today. And then, so it's a journey. You're scared of it. Oh, I can't breathe. Oh, I can feel I'm having palpitations, anxieties. And then you're scared about it. Then you don't care about it. And then you say, let it happen, man. Then came another woman in my life, which is my wife. I know that, and I never went to India after coming to US. I never wanted to go there. 6 years after that, she insisted we should go there. And I went there, and she took an appointment with the a mental health professional or a psychiatrist in our hospital. And I was laughing at her. I was like, what the hell? I mean, what's wrong with you? I mean, I don't need to go to a psychiatrist. And trust me, during these 10 years, things have come to a stage wherein literally we wanted to separate, I myself wanted to separate from her, so that, I can end this misery for her also, because I was also tired of all these emotional outbursts every night, drinking heavily, put on so much of weight that I had become double XL and all that stuff. So I had no control on my diet. I had no control on my drinking. I had no control on my emotions. So it's like I'll build a very beautiful house, and the moment it's complete and people are, I'm getting people are just basically saying, "Oh, wow, beautiful, awesome," and I'll start destroying it after that. That's how it became. And then my wife took me to a psychiatrist, and then you definitely need some clinical intervention, medicines. I've been doing this for the past, getting this treatment for the past 1.5 years now. Okay. And I would say that 95% of it, I'm out of it.
Had I contacted you 2 years ago, we wouldn't have been doing this interview.
First of all, I would not even have agreed to do an interview because I don't have
That's
anything.
What I'm saying. It wouldn't have happened,
Yeah.
And, I'm so glad that even if it took you so many years, right? The point is that you finally did something about it before it got too late. And yeah, all thanks to your wife in this case for pushing you. This is a very personal thing. Nobody likes to say that I had a mental health issue, and you coming out like this, I think, is very, very brave and courageous of you. So I'd like to thank you for that, Manu.
Well, actually, thank you for giving me this platform to share this experience with you and everyone.
The last section is the rapid fire round. So, rapid fire with Manu Bhog from Texas. Your favorite dancer?
Hrithik Roshan.
Your favorite word?
Dream.
What is the strangest thing you've eaten?
Crocodile.
What's your favorite clothes brand?
See, earlier, the condition used to be that a shirt should not be more than 250 rupees and a trouser should not be more than 500 rupees, no matter what brand it is.
Good one.
Yeah. Ralph Lauren for the past 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
What's the best compliment you've ever received?
You have a beautiful soul.
Why do you dance?
Why do I dance? Because somewhere down the line, I always wanted to become an actor.
What are your pets' names?
Snowy and Junior.
Okay.
And I have another one, Bobo also, parrot, Amazon parrot.
Oh, okay. I was like, you forgot your pet? Okay. What has been your kids' favorite Halloween costume?
Superhero, Iron Man and all these.
What is the last movie you saw?
Oh, Radhe.
Oh. Your family's favorite hangout spot?
Universal Studios.
No, you did really well. And thank you so much again, Manu. Wasn't that an awesome story? For more of such awesome stories, please check out my other videos and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Till next week, take care and be safe. Bye.